Hello everyone and welcome to your horoscope for the week of July the 11th, 17th, 2022. We have a very tense and also intense sky because we have so many energies, different types of energies playing out at the same time. There is a very powerful individual nuance to this where all of us have to be strongly and deeply immersed in our life stories this week, but there is also a very powerful collective expression which might influence maybe all of us on the planet because this is a rather financial energy and it has so very many different sides, but I'm going to be speaking about this in greater detail later on. And then we also have a super full moon, but the most powerful super full moon of the year in the sign of Capricorn on the 13th of July. And that is going to be speaking in a conversation of harmony, supreme harmony with the North Node. So that is a really powerful energy because that means that we get either clarity, results, knowledge, information, a personal epiphany, anything that might be in certain way useful to get where we need to get for our longer term futures, because the North Node in Taurus, well, it means regardless of which area of your life this North Node, this sign of Taurus and the North Node in it is transiting right now, still that urges you to start building. On first hand, of course, it urges you to break down everything to the minimalistic expression, to understand what your true needs are. And then, after you break it down to the most minimalistic components, may it be in the way of understanding, may it be in the way of mathematics, for example. If this falls into a financial house, then you will need to have at least a good idea of the facts and figures. What are your chances and where and investment and all of that. But if this falls in like a spiritual house, the 12th house, then it's a lot of inner work and it's a lot of listening to what the universe, your destiny, your higher self, your unconscious through dreams is trying to tell you, and to get to the bottom of things. Because, for example, if this is a 12th house activity, this is where like a massive karmic purge, where you end family karma, where you get basically to be an individual in the sense that to break away karmically from your family. Of course, this doesn't mean to abandon them or leave them or anything. No. It just means your karma and their karma, everyone is okay in that sense. So, where everyone can bear their own cross and mind their own karmic business. But of course, as a family, you can be as united, as prosperous, as happy as possible. So, this is where I have to specify not to misinterpret this of family karma. All of us, even the most happiest and unified families, have a karma that they need to resolve together and ultimately then break apart. Where children have to break away from family karma, their parents' karma, etc. This is totally natural, totally normal, just that the way this enacts in this day and age from 2000 onwards, even from the 80s onwards, well, it is radically different than it always used to be, because there is divorce, there is reinvention, there is resurrection, there is spiritual awakening, and all sorts of tools to give us a different world than our ancestors could never possibly envisage and imagine. But that is vice versa. We can not imagine how blessed they were and how not blessed we, our generation, the whole timeline right now is, from different perspective, of course. Their connection to nature and the love stories that many times they could experience and live through, they were of such beauty and magic that, in this day and age, even the most blessed souls could just possibly dream of that. It's a fantasy. But it is our job, of those of us alive and working one way or another, right now to bring that back. Not to bring back the past, but to bring back a, a form of beauty and purity that has been lost to ages. So it is the ideal and the principle, the energy, the frequency, the vibration that we truly need to bring back. Now, why am I saying all of this? Well, we'll find out right now, because let's begin the horoscope. One of the stars of this week is without a doubt Venus, because in the sign of Gemini, she goes into this sign every single year. It is not a very unusual energy, but the year itself, 2022, is very unusual. And 2022, because of the twos, is one way or another indirectly, like not astrologically, just maybe frequency based, maybe a more mystical expression of this is connected to Gemini energy. 2022 is very, very Gemini-like, because this is the year when all of us have to be good brothers, Gemini, good siblings, Gemini, good brothers, sisters, but in a non-related way, in just moral way, in spiritual brother, sister, morally, good neighbors, good whatever. That's also very Gemini energy, because we have to do it sometimes, even for undeserving people, out of principle and out of equity, so to speak. That's also very Gemini, because a lot of other signs could not just execute this, like mentally, for the sheer sake of equality. They would hair split. Morally, philosophically, spiritually, religiously, materially, but Gemini can just do it. That's why 2022 is very Gemini-like year. Even if I repeat astrologically, it has not that very much to do with it, but in tarot it has. So, where I want to go with this, Venus in the sign of Gemini. This specific energy has to show us both sides of the spectrum, both sides of the same coin, both dualities. So it's not very easy, and it's really not a most favorable energy to make decisions, quick decisions, but for long-term decisions, this confusedness, confusion that Venus in Gemini gives us, both mentally and emotionally, it's really, really useful, because basically it makes us truly think, burn some emotional energy, heart energy, and mental energy, and get to the bottom of things, of whatever this Venus in Gemini is trying to tell us personally, because on the world stage, it tells us that we need to be a species. No country, no nationality, no culture, no religion, because when we're in danger as a species, we need to be a species. But that's a different theme. So Venus receives a trine from Saturn from fellow air sign Aquarius. This is like you kind of know your truth. This is where Venus gets it finally. Where Venus kind of made sense of the duality and the two sides of the same coin, or the spectrum, because this is the specifics of Saturn in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is a pronouncedly dual sign, as in a fixed dual sign. The two waves of Aquarius, that is the two sides having to coexist with each other. And of course, Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, this is where the battle, symbolically Saturn. Saturn is a militaristic energy, just like Mars. So Saturn means the dual of good and evil, light and dark, etc., etc. And Gemini is the solution, the middle path, but the middle path with standards. Certain expressions of the light, which are not compatible with humankind, can not be part of this, because, for example, the life of a saint, that's an expression of the light which can no longer exist in the same way it always did. That is one extreme expression of the light. But the dark, if the dark doesn't play by the rules of love, then it has nothing to do here, as in it has to not be with us anymore. So even the dark needs to meet the standards that it can exist as a challenger, as an opposer, as the spice to make the path of love interesting, but not in the evil, destructive, impure, unholy, the satanic way. If I'm sorry to pronounce this word, but it's just symbolic. So that must be destroyed or be eliminated, be discarded. It can no longer come with us in the future, and this leads to a lot of realization for us individually. The job that we cannot tolerate, the person who we cannot tolerate, the way we do our jobs that can no longer reflect the illusion or the allure or, the psychological game. This is where all of us have different standards, emotional and moral standards, and matter is reflecting it because we are changing our lives dramatically. Our standards, what we find acceptable, what we not. This is, for example, I do see a mass migration of astrologers, spiritual workers from social media. And that's a big thing because that means they will cut off a good chunk of income. But they're doing it. And it's a rebellious act, it's a Uranian act one way, but from another way, this is where they just probably cannot tolerate the frequency of it. It's a must. They do it for their psychological well-being. So you can imagine that this is executing itself in the world as we speak, even in our own personal lives, and we don't even know it. This is where the brands that we choose, like even me, this is where I don't go to supermarkets. I try my hardest just to buy off farmers, and I'm poor and I still make that effort, and you're probably doing the same. We don't know that we're doing this out of instinct, but we're doing it because there's not that much judgment process here. We just know what the right thing is. Venus trine Saturn, exactly. We know already, we feel it, we know it, mind, heart, any chakra you want. We know what the right thing is and we do it, and we do it passionately. So this is a plus. But Venus is squaring Neptune. That's not a really good energy. Not really, it's a good energy, a very, very good energy. But this is where illusions, temptations, deception, lies, and we lie to ourselves, don't get me wrong. Now, naturally, with this, all of us must be careful with impersonators, scammers, fraudsters, etc., etc., because this can play out as a vengeful Mercury retrograde episode where Mercury this time is innocent, has nothing to do with this energy, just its ruling sign, Gemini, but emotionally we can get just as fooled. So let's be careful. Let's not click the links, not believe the stories, empty promises, including in love. This is where words, no, it has to be something concrete. If I love you, then show it somehow. So be careful who you trust, the promises, the Casanovas, a lot of adventure-seeking people out there, profoundly animated by their hormones, and they don't know it. They think it's love, they're seeking love, but they're not. And they don't know it, so no one can blame anyone, so be mindful of this if you're seeking love. But fortunately, Pallas Athena is in the sign of Gemini, so our minds help us. Our minds are ticking, as in the processor is working, functioning very well. We can detect and spot the scammer or the hormone animated lover who just doesn't know how to get into our bed before they can do any damage. So that part is really good. And on the 13th of the month of July, exactly at the time of this full moon, Venus and the Venus-Saturn trine is exact. And that is very, very unusual because it means that we're really down to earth with something. So we, at least in the worst case scenario, we know what we need to do. We are ready to do it. And that means, quite frankly, with the North Node holding beautiful aspects, somehow it gets to us. Somehow it comes to us. Sometimes we do it. Somehow we get either lucky or we we are gifted by divine means or by human means or by the past. Because the sun in the sign of Cancer, that's the past, that's people who you helped, that's family members, relatives, people who love you, people who want to belong to you, etc., etc. South node in the sign of Scorpio, that's an empowerment. So our attraction, our scorpionic traits in great excess, that also means how we can manipulate other people, not in an evil way, but everything is manipulation in a certain way, and even in the most innocent way. So where I'm getting with this is that's really good, because help can come, attraction, but this is the Cancer attraction, so it's moral based, really, it's love based, so help comes our way. And encouragement, and basically people encouraging you to do and shine and to be brave and basically to do whatever it is that you need to take care of yourself. That's also a massive help this week, and we can really expect that. Now another energy is Mars' presence in the sign of Taurus. Mars is not comfortable here, so this is where financial energy or Taurian energy, Mars, action, willpower, intent, in any way, shape and form, burning energy, and Taurus to do it now for the long term, to really concentrate, to really focus, to be very serious, to really try our hardest. And this in itself, it gets the job done, yeah, but it's not easy. But let's look at the sun. The sun, as I said, holds a trine with the south node and also with Neptune, and that can be a powerful spiritual empowerment. Now, even if this energy can translate to illusion, so to speak, but this can be the most positive kind of illusion, pure faith, or the dream of love so powerful that it just sees you through, a kind gesture, an act of compassion, someone even new showing up where you're just showered with love, or a divine help, the power of prayer. The South Node in Scorpio is a psychological empowerment in excess. So the negative expression of that obsessive desire. Now, of course, obsession gets you a long way because it motivates you like nothing else, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, the desire to help, the desire of compassion, of mercy, or your own dire situation, and the trust you place in the divine, the power of your prayer, that can also be obsessively strong in a very positive, empowering, and enlightening way. So that is a really beautiful energy. And then the moon also holds some really good connections, as I said, at the time of the full moon, but I'm not speaking about the full moon yet, but I just have to mention it, the moon in this configuration, so it holds a trine with the north node. That's really good, because moon, our emotion, in the sign of Capricorn especially, we are aware emotionally, even on a soul level. That is Capricorn when the spiritual meets the earthly. And it's not the most evil expression, because some people can say, isn't Capricorn really the devil in tarot and the manifestation of the not so favorable energies and 3D and all of that? Well, that's one side of it, but this is where the North Node, so the spirit has to manifest in matter as well, so that's also Capricorn. So it can be the stage of miracles, or it can be the stage when your faith and your emotion, your ideals, your aspirations, everything about you, your soul, the moon, is aligned to something real, aligned to something healthy, and you're preparing yourself, because not everyone can do it there and then on the 13th. So for some people it's doing it then, for others it's preparing ourselves, let's say emotionally, to be strong and to execute something, to manifest something, for something that we asked for through our prayer perhaps, or through our meditation, or basically our needs, the needs in our lives, well, they're coming to us, but it's just not easy. It's really, if you look at the big picture, it's helpful, it's beautiful, it's really gonna get us somewhere in the longer term, especially this energy reactivates in November. So, but the way we feel it right now, the way we live it right now, it's not easy. It's almost like the battle of good and evil within our hearts right now. So it's that very difficult, but there is so much blessing here, just that we might not be able to see it right now. Because another aspect that Mercury holds is a square to Chiron. So our wounds, and Mercury is a mental energy, what our wounds have done with us, how they shaped and formed us. But this is where we also see where the wounds of other people, perhaps people who we once respected and loved and cared for, destroyed them. And there was absolutely nothing we could do to help them or prevent this, or we did our hardest, but we just couldn't be successful because the person wasn't willing, or they just did not see the light. So this is another difficult aspect of this energy, because seeing other people not succeed is not okay. It is not a really good energy. It is not a good emotion, not a good feeling. If you're someone who is an epitome of envy, jealousy, negativity, yes, it's good. This is when you celebrate. But for normal people, this is sad. Even if you're doing okay, the other person not doing okay, and your knowledge, Mercury, your sheer knowledge that they will not be doing okay anytime soon because of their lifestyle, because of something that they're doing. That's sad. But Mercury also holds a conjunction with Black Moon Lilith. So also our shadow, our negativity, our darkest self is reflecting deeply in the mirror. And it will be a moment of tears, of course, because there are things in our lives, there are things in our souls and Cancer, our history, which we're not proud of. Regret. I wish I could have done more. I wish I was stronger, braver, etc. But this is also part of contemplation and reflection. And Mercury on the 16th also holds a conjunction with the Sun in the sign of Cancer. I do believe that around 24 degrees of the sign of Cancer, and this is a moment of big clarity, because this is after the full moon's clarity, and this is where emotionally we kind of get it. We get it. This is like a eureka moment. We finally get ourselves. We understand ourselves. But how? Cancer. Who loves us? Who we love? What we love? Where we belong in the world? Where we want to move? Where we want to live? Things about our living situation, living condition, our physical house, our spiritual house, our family. If we wish to live solo, if we wish to be solo, if we wish a partner, a family, all our ethnicity, our country, our borders, our personal borders, our personal intimacy, our house, and our energy, our aura even, the shell, everything that we can call our shell is the domain of Cancer. So clarity here. But sometimes clarity comes in different ways and shapes, because clarity is also where you find that, well, right now, there is not a place on planet Earth where I feel at home, so the only place is within myself. This is not easy. This is not a beautiful, triumphant eureka moment, but it's clarity nonetheless. And only the fearful and mistrusting aspect of yourself, who doesn't want to believe in yourself, will tell you, how is this clarity? Because this is where I'm just lost and I'm gonna be lost. But this is clarity. Because that state of loss, or the most extreme case, the state of nothingness, that's divine, that's sacred. Perhaps the divine breath experiencing itself through us wants to feel that way, and we allowed. Now, if you are someone who says, our Father, Pater Noster in Latin, on a daily basis, then you're actually allowing this. You're wishing this upon yourself, for the divine to experience it itself as it wishes. You're an open channel. But maybe it is our own human illusion to think that the divine would not wish to experience sadness. Sacred sadness, sacred nothingness, sacred solitude, sacred loneliness, sacred, call it whatever you want, but it only wishes to experience it for a very brief moment. We need to let go. We need to elevate it, alchemize it, transmute it, see the love in it, because every divine moment of sadness, it kind of has a counterpart. It opens us, sensitizes us, it makes us compassionate and empathic to people living the same thing. So it is a fountain of knowledge, a fountain of greater empathy, a fountain of sacredness ultimately. But to see it this way and to be able to keep on this vision, this divine vision, Mercury and the Sun, that's vision. Cancer, the vision of the heart, the vision of the moon, the ruling planet of Cancer, the vision of the sacred mother. Cancer is the home of Sirius as well. So Cancer is all about the divine feminine, and the divine feminine is the wisest energy out there. Her wisdom of the heart can speak to the heart of the creator itself, where the divine masculine, let's face it, cannot. And this is maybe the salt and wound on patriarchy, but still, this is where perhaps a simple wise woman can do 10 times more than the Pope. And maybe the divine masculine is a little bit upset that this is allowed, because this is a bit unfair. Yet, it is exactly moments like this when the divine feminine needs to tap into her true mastery and be a mother to all of us, to the whole race, to the whole species, and ask for forgiveness. And at the very, very end of the week, we are going to be having difficult aspects. Again, yes, the Sun's harmonious connection to Neptune is going to get stronger, which is absolutely amazing, because that means the divine is within us, within our consciousness, within our heart, within our family even, within the instinct within the self, instinct of belonging, Cancer. But Venus is energetic in the sign of Gemini. This is like a heart storm. Energetic Gemini is rebellious, just like Aquarius. Energetic Gemini is very, very Uranian, very Aquarian, and at the same time very Saturnian, and also very Venusian, because the esoteric ruler of Gemini is none other than Venus herself. So all of the cocktail for a heart storm, an emotional storm, a value storm, either spoken as poetry, as sharing your pain, or sharing your joy, sharing your values, sharing your ideals, sharing something that is gonna take place on Sunday or around Sunday. But another difficult aspect is Ceres, goddess of nurture, standing across the sky from Pluto. Ceres in the sign of Cancer she is Demetra the most. So this can play out on the world stage as grain, as food, as price of food, Pluto in Capricorn. So this is where there might be a short moment of famine. Why there is a myriad of ways how this energy can play out, but this is where the food is cut off. Our nurture, source of nurture is cut off. One way or another, maybe just symbolically, emotional nurture. No love, where's the love? Where is the loving food where someone cooks for you? You miss it. You miss the care, you miss the nurture, you miss something deeply. This is the energy of missing. Or for people who have problems with their stomachs, with their digestive tract, maybe this is a flare up of their illness, IBS, Crohn's, a small flare up. But on the world stage, this is where it is shown karmically and in not a favorable way, not a beautiful way, how sacred food is. So this is where there are going to be infections, food infection, mass food infections, famine, stuff somewhere, drought, or floods killing, the crops die. I'm so sorry, the crops die. And this is where the harvest is going to be scarce. This is what it means. Where exactly? Well, astrocartography may say that maybe in the Americas, maybe in Europe, maybe in Australia, maybe in India, but who knows really? Who knows? Because Uranus is also going to be activated deeply later on in the summer, at the very end of the summer. The square between Saturn and Uranus takes place once more, but not now. So this is definitely not now. And I'm just preparing us. And this is where I will have to get to the second part of it in a separate recording. So please stay with me for the full moon, super full moon that we have in the sign of Capricorn. I'm going to be speaking about that in the second part. Thank you.